neither of us are getting any younger, as the old saying goes. And
Not at all.
Look after ourselves.
You're absolutely right. And in fact, that's what I was lamenting the other day, is that if, driving home tired, I had an accident or whatever and hurt or worse someone else or whatever, I would never forgive myself. So it's time to get a bit of balance back into it, So
and it's true, and your work. Let's say you had an accident and you died. Well, dying is not the end of the world, and your work would just replace you.
Yeah.
And it's actually an interesting subject, that about dying, because it's not the dying, because we don't actually die. Our souls carry on living, and in fact, there's a topic that I've been listening to. We'll talk about in a minute, but before that, the having an accident and injuring yourself or becoming incapable of maybe walking or talking or eating or whatever, that becomes a problem if you don't die. Yeah.
But I was also inspired when I saw your new website. I thought, goodness, this is a much better prospect than working for someone else. So
yeah, thanks. It took many months to get to that, and and now I'm just so motivated. It's just not true.
Has it gone live or not yet?
Yes, the website's gone live. The website's always been live. I worked with it live.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. I'm with you now. Yep.
It was there before I changed it. I don't know. It's been up for about.
I didn't realize that you just upgraded your existing website.
It's I don't have the skills to build another one, so I just upgraded the existing one.
Yeah, no, you did a great job. Looks fantastic.
It's the wording that I like. I like what I've done. It sort of encompasses exactly what I want to do. I'm a researcher. I enjoy researching, and I don't care what I research. I enjoy it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so whether I'm doing researching, what happens on mountain tops, or what happens to your heart, or or conspiracy theories, I don't mind what it is. I really like the putting it together, researching and putting something together in some sort of format, and so yeah. And then the health guide. I've been doing health for a long time and writing articles and so on. So that just had to be there as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's really appealing. I found it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And this afternoon, a few minutes ago, in fact, I put up my first kiddie story.
Oh, okay. Oh, nice.
Yes, for sort of I don't know, 5, 6, 7-year-olds. That sort of preschool.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes long, and it's a video, and so it's me just telling them a story, like I used to do. You see, my children, my second oldest son, he was the one who, come on, Dad, we used to love listening to your stories when we were growing up, and I said that was 50 years ago.
Yeah, well, some things don't change, do they? So.
Well, I think you sort of to a degree, I've lost the touch of creating the story, but I've managed the one. It's taken me like 3 days to get the 6-minute video. Okay.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, it's tiring, but I've learned a lot. You see, my biggest problem was I'd forgotten how to use my video editor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And now I had to go through the tutorials. I was in bed this morning at 5 o'clock looking at the tutorials, and there's just so much I've got to learn there. But I learned enough to carry on and get the first one out. Okay.
It's amazing with some of these software packages that if you don't use them for a while, how quickly you lose it, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's it in a nutshell with me with that video editor. I'm using open source one called OpenShot.
Okay.
And I think it's ideal for me. I don't know what others are like. I mean, there are all sorts of ones out there, paid and unpaid for, but I just had this one on my computer, so started it. It was working. But coming back to, I said I'd come back to, I out of the blue, when I was watching my early morning YouTube, I came across something. This guy was talking about something that I know pretty well, okay, but I haven't thought about it maybe for 10 years, okay, and that is that we exist also in a parallel universe. Do you know anything about that?
No.
Do you know that we do?
Well, I've seen a number of like spiritual teachers talk about. They may not have used that specific term, but I'm sure that's what the intention of it was, to say that you exist on, well, to use your language a bit or Moya's language, you exist on more than one plane, so.
Yeah. When I first heard about it, it was actually Moya in one of his meetings. He just passed by, as far as I can remember. I can't remember any real stuff that he was speaking about, and I know for a fact that I won't find it in his books that I've got, because it was something in passing. But what I understood it to be is that it's although it's another dimension, if you like, or they call it about parallel universe, but parallel dimension also works for me, is that it's you in the same life, but there. Okay. So I'm interested to know, is that Michael that's parallel there with me more intelligent than I am, or just as dumb? Is he progressing any differently on his path? Because he's obviously got a free will and he's doing stuff there. It's not like a shadow, okay? And I don't know the answers to it. The person who spoke this video was only yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. And this morning I really had to get on with my tutorial on the video, so I never went back to see what else he's got, just to out of curiosity, you see. I understand from my Logos teachings, what the journey is like, but I've never known about this parallel universe where there's a duplicate you.
Well, it could even be multi-universes, couldn't it? Like, more than just two. Could be an infinite number of universes. In the sense of, if you think about things in terms of possibilities, the decisions I've made have taken me on this path, but if, gone 2.0 and this universe had made different decisions on the same pathway, well, then I'm sure, well, I don't know, but I would assume would have had completely different experiences, so.
Yeah.
Whether they end up in the same same place or not, I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, it's intriguing because you know, I start coupling it now to like quantum physics and quantum mechanics and quantum computers that are finding these dimensions and you know, only last week I was reading an article on how they have created a what do they call it when you the word just eludes me. It's a connection. It's a tunnel between one dimension and another one. Okay.
Oh, like a wormhole or something.
A wormhole. That's the word I was trying to get to. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Now, you know, I'm very familiar with them as far as science fiction goes and Star Trek and so on. And they, you know, they go through a wormhole and so on. And but they've now created one in a laboratory. Okay. Now that is really, really fascinating. And it brings all sorts of thoughts to my mind. And one of the other thoughts that it brings to my mind is that with Star Trek, you know, you do warp drive, okay? So you get from one side of the universe to another side in a few minutes, okay? And somebody questioned Elon Musk about it. And he says he understands the concept, okay? And what he was trying to, the conversation wasn't about that, but it said basically what happens is it's about time, okay? And you know, time is only in basically in the physical dimension. So there could be a lot of physical, there are a lot of physical dimensions, but it's only in the physical. And he said, what you do is you are able to manipulate time so that instead of being, you know, yesterday and today, it comes together like that, okay? And then if you've got rid of time, that means you just jump through there and you're at the other side of the universe. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, it was interesting to think that so much that's happened with Star Trek over, I don't know how many years. When did it start? I don't know, back in the 70s or something.
I think it would have been 70s or 60s or something like that.
Yeah. So, you know, you got, you know, over 50 years, and they were dreaming up these things for science fiction. Sorry, do you want to answer that?
No.
And so, yeah, I guess the parallel universes are an interesting aspect, because if you're talking about, you know, you live forever, does that mean that when you die on this physical plane, do these other planes, because you now move out of the physical, it's called a domain.
Okay, that's a good word.
Yeah, I like it too. And then it cleans the slate for all of your other aspects in that domain. It must, okay? Because if it's a duplicate of you, you've died physically, they must disappear physically as well. And what goes on is now a spiritual. Your soul moves from the astral maybe to the mental, to the subconscious, and so on, as we spoke about last time.
But even like in the Bible, though, like, and not only the resurrection, but there's lots and lots of instances where the form of the body, whilst it has a visual appearance of being the same, has completely different characteristics. You know, like you can walk through solid matter, you can feel solid, you can still eat and drink, but you can also be here now and gone in a flash type thing as well, you know. So So there's
all. Are you talking about that you can do this?
That's just some of the scriptures, like, you know, like as a result of the resurrection, Christ did that, you know, after the resurrection.
Yeah.
So he had a body, and people could recognize him.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes. Yeah.
You know, and he could sit down and eat with people and dine with them. But he could also walk through seemingly solid objects.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Disappear in an instant, and all sorts of things. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, and even right back into Genesis, you know, like the idea of sitting down with, you know, I think the language they used were the hosts of heaven, you know, and having a meal and talking to them, and then they're gone, you know. So
yeah. I did some research and I put it into one of my Get Set Up classes. The class was The Secrets of the Himalayas. But in the Himalayas, there is let's call it a group of people that have been living there for eternity, basically. They don't die, and they have a way of getting people not to find them, okay, unless they want them to find them.
But again, even some of the stories through Genesis, though, you know, like Abraham and Noah, and like they lived for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yes, they did, up to 900 years. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so these are all spiritual people historically that what we know of are highly spiritual people, and they live there together, and they really, their vibration is helping the whole planet.
Yeah.
And then when somebody gets to that level and they are in contact with that person, or they guide that person to this location, and they open almost a door, a wormhole, if you like, that they go through to this village of people, and I was reading up in my research, I think 3 different people that have been there, okay, and come away, and I think Sai Baba was one of them, okay, but the people that had come away and had written about it was really interesting, because, you know, it was weaving stuff from the sun's rays, you know, while it was there.
Yeah.
You know, for anybody other than you and me, it's absolute codswallop, absolute nonsense, you know. But I just enjoy, you know, whether it's true or not true, it's irrelevant to me. Okay, it somehow just sits with me, and it's just so interesting. Yeah.
But I think even like as science, you know, makes so-called discoveries about things, you know, for some of these, you know, spiritual seekers, like there's nothing new about these discoveries for them. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Nothing new, like.
Yeah.
You know, like I think there was, I think I was reading there somewhere about a week or 2 ago, where they were talking about black holes, And apparently they've discovered that, yes, black holes can be like supermassive and big and that, but it's also possible to have a black hole like the size of a 20-cent piece or a 5-cent piece, or so it's all through the whole spectrum, So.
Yeah, it's amazing what these space telescopes like the Webb is picking up all sorts of things, and I actually excited when I think about NASA's next one they're putting up into space, which is going to be 10 times stronger than anything they've put up there.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I mean, the one that's up there at the moment has given them insights and debunked a whole lot of science that they thought was factual already, hasn't it? So.
Yeah. I also, and anything on YouTube that's got to do with Elon Musk, you really don't know who's bullshitting who, and it's so difficult to decide. I've made myself a rule just in the last week that every second thing is Elon Musk is this and Elon Musk is that, and that if they say, and this is what made me remember that, was this YouTube said Elon Musk has made a powerful telescope in conjunction with NASA, and it's basically completed, and it'll go up in the next year. It'll be sent up. Now, I want to, when I'm watching a YouTube now, unless I see Elon Musk talking, and saying it, I just said I don't believe it.
And even then, you have to wonder, like with some of this AI stuff, it can create,
That's also they can create Elon Musk talking. Yeah, it's yeah, that's true.
And I think that, like, even from my own perspective, like that course that I did there, through the latter part of last year and beginning of this year, a lot of it was around the idea of discernment, which I think, the more I sort of ponder it in some ways, is that it really is, I don't know whether it's a skill or what it is, but but just the ability to discern, truth from untruth, or, having the level of awareness so that you can check in on yourself and think, yeah, okay, I'm in consolation or desolation, or, so just having that sort of ability to discern where you're at, at any given point, I think is pretty important as well, for exactly the reasons that you outlined. There's so much propaganda and bullshit and lies and nastiness and dark and light and all that sort of thing. It's, for the unwary, it's difficult to discern between them all. So.
Yeah.
And I think that, like some people might call it intuition, or some people might call it, kinesiology or whatever. But there certainly are both physical and other means of tapping in as to, well, what is true,
Yeah, I go along with you. I think it's absolutely right. It's intuition, and that's our, I was going to say secret weapon, but it's hardly a weapon and it's hardly secret. But it's intuition, yeah, because we actually don't know where intuition comes from.
No. No, it's a bit like using a compass, isn't it? You know, it must have been a mystery to the early explorers as to, well, why does this point to north or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
But having the level of trust in it that if you follow it, that it'll take you in that direction. You know? So.
Yeah, and the people.
And I can remember like the very first time I got a GPS in my car. It was fairly primitive, but it was just quite an unusual feeling that this little piece of technology was telling you where to go, and you just had complete trust in it that it was going to get you to where it said it was going to take you. You know. So.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's quite amazing, you know, with that the GPS and on the phone, you can just shout out to Siri, you know, take me to the general hospital. Okay.
Yeah.
You get right. Sure. Turn left. Turn right. Go for it.
Yeah.
This is a quicker route.
Yeah.
You're there.
Mm.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, just amazing, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. And I think when you think about it in terms of whichever context you want to choose, in terms of spiritual or even scientific, you know, like if you were a time traveler and brought someone out of the 1800s into the present day, you know, they would think it was either, you know, mystical or magical or whatever. You know, the fact that you can walk up and push that button on the wall there and the room lights up, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, things that we kind of take for granted. And even in our own lifetimes, like the huge change that we've experienced, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Have been absolutely.
I must tell you, I've been having the odd conversation with Chat GPT 440.
40. Oh, good.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm just trying to think what the best is. It is. It's a breath of fresh air, isn't it? You know,
Oh,
really.
absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. I'm glad you've tried it out. It's I just find it so fascinating. And as I said to you last time, I treat it like a human. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And I went into it with that mindset based on your experience, you know.
okay. Yeah. And I just finished using him about an hour ago because I wanted for my story, my kiddie story, I wanted some images, you see.
Yeah.
So I gave him a couple, 2 lines or one sentence actually of the story, and I said, create an image based on that line. Okay, it was a marshmallow bear tumbling down the mountain was in the story. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
so he made this, and I said he created something that was like sitting on a marshmallow sliding down there, and I said no, no. I want a marshmallow bear tumbling down a marshmallow mountain, tumbling or falling. Oh, sorry, Michael, he says. Okay. And then he creates another one, and there's the perfect one. You asked him to create images yet?
No, not yet. No, no.
Oh, just use the word image, okay?
Yeah.
And say create an image of anything you like, of your favorite bird or your favorite flower or your favorite experience or science fiction, anything, okay?
Yeah.
And he creates it, and it's absolutely. And also, one thing I didn't realize until I was doing the story, this kiddie story, is I asked him to do an image for it, for like the title page, okay, and which he did, and I accepted, and I used it for. I used it yesterday, And then my son James, who I've sent the test thing through to, he said, surely you can get ChatGPT to ratio it. Tell him where you're going to put it, and then he must, because at the moment it's just a square in the middle of your screen, and it really looks horrible. Okay. So today I said to him, my son says it's the ratio should be 16 to 1, 16 to 9 for a PowerPoint slide, and he said, and I duplicated yesterday's picture on a, sort of a rectangular size, and it fitted perfectly.
Yeah.
Into PowerPoint. So yeah,
it's incredible, isn't it? It really is incredible.
It's fun, and I just got to think as I'm moving on now, how can I work together in the future? I mean, I'm working right now with him. But what
so you upgraded to take the subscription, like the monthly subscription?
$22.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done that too?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah.
But I can certainly see the value in it for sure.
You see, unlike you, I work in front of my computer every day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I use chat to do my research too. When I was looking at whistleblowers, and I said to him, I've got to do a class on Antarctica, and I'm tired of repeating the same junk. What about what's going on in Antarctica? We've had whistleblowers historically that I'm aware of it. And my goodness me, did he come up with all these whistleblowers and what they have been saying, okay, from quite long ago to very recent. So it was like great for me just to have that knowledge and to now, I know there that, we talk about the black hats and we talk about certain people trying to control the entire planet. But what goes on, various nations, as in deep inside the Antarctic, is just, and these people have come out. They were like you and me. They were working there, okay, and then for whatever reason they stopped working there, and then they became whistleblowers about what was there because they just weren't comfortable that the planet or the world didn't know about what this was. But the interesting thing with whistleblowers is that the black hats, or the power that this consumeristic society has over individuals, it's just too powerful. So people don't believe the whistleblowers. Okay, they say, it's not. Okay.
Yeah, they can't. Not possible. Yeah,
it's just absolutely no. It's just junk. What? And that's where the world has got to at the moment. Like, they just believe what the controllers of the planet want them to believe through every single channel. I mean, the pharmaceutical is just one, but there are many other channels too.
Well, just mainstream media. Like, I mean, goodness.
Yes.
You can't believe a word of it.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. But I'm certainly going to experiment a bit more, and I think I will take out a subscription, and I can see a lot of value being delivered by it, actually.
Yeah, and also with chat, I haven't done it. I haven't needed to, but with it, I think it was a Chat 3. When I had that, that wasn't on a subscription. That was the free version. You had whatever you wanted chat to remember about you, you had a little place that you put that in. Okay. So,
Yeah, so I got the impression with this one, because you sort of log into it, that it just remembers you automatically, pretty much, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But it remembers it remembers everything that you've written. And when I was sort of trying to get to bring down, I asked Chat, just trying to think how I worded it, but anyway, what I was asking him was, you know me well enough now, okay?
Yeah.
Chat, and I'm trying to boil down my website for my sort of headlines to a few words. What would those words be? And he came up with 12, okay? He says, this is you. And so absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
Sue just couldn't believe it, okay? I couldn't either, but at least I knew then that he can analyze everything that he's done for me.
Yeah.
And come up with those 12 words.
Which is far more than just doing like a web search, isn't it? It really is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've also tried him with numerology and for myself. And also tried him with astrology as well. So yeah, it's just there isn't a limit, I don't think, of what
it doesn't appear to be, does it?
No. And very, very interesting. And he automatically. Sorry, I always use the male he. I call him he. Okay.
Yeah.
On his site, he saves everything. As you've got a menu of everything down there. You've probably seen it. Okay. So what I do is when I want something that's related to something that I maybe did a month or 2 months ago, I go back to that saving on his site and I click on that, and then I ask him the question. Okay.
Yeah.
Then he knows the question's in relation to that topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he might say, as you'll see in what I've told you before, blah 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 blah. Otherwise, he just rewords it, and he's more polite than most humans.
Oh, exactly. I think like when I sort of finished with the questions that I had, I sort of said, "Oh, thank you. That's really insightful. I hadn't thought about some of those issues that way." And it's like, "Oh no, it's my pleasure. I'm always happy to answer your questions." And
yes. I love that. Okay. Yeah. And often, if I've just done, let's say, a blog myself or something, then I would copy and I would put the entire blog in.
Yeah.
And I'd say, just look at this and see if you can improve on it. Okay. And I don't say what or anything, just say improve. And oh my goodness, he does.
Really?
Yeah.
And in what way? It's like grammatically or content or?
No, not dramatically. It's, I'm trying to think of an example. No, I can't think of any. I can't think of one now as an example. And he'll accept. There's no limit to. I just copy and paste maybe a 900 word blog, and put it in, and he comes. He might ask me some questions, or he sees the blog, what angle it's at, and then he will and before he starts the blog, you know, he might well he starts it immediately, but then maybe just before he starts the blog or at the end afterwards, he says, you know, I've added this and your emphasis is on this aspect, okay? So I've emphasized that more.
Yeah, okay.
So
wow.
yeah. Now the interesting thing is I take what Chat does, what he writes, and then I put it through Grammarly. Okay, I've had Grammarly for years. Okay, and you know, Grammarly is obviously also an AI of some description.
Yeah,
and Grammarly wants to change a lot of what Chat says.
really?
Yeah, yeah. And
for the better, or just for change?
I think, you know, it depends on what you're doing. Okay, let's say let's say the story of kids, because that's just finished today. Okay, Grammarly treats it like an adult's going to read it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So it changes all things. You know, they want this and they want that. But then if you write in a blog that is serious, let's say, you know, I did a class on 3D printing just recently, and I got Chat to help me with that, and then I put it through Grammarly, and Grammarly's changes were correct because it was like professionally written. You could read it and you could say, you know, that would go into LinkedIn as a professional to other professionals. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is fascinating, and when you think of the 3D printing, and you know, you're a man that works with his hands and designs wooden things and so on. With 3D printing, you on a computer, you design whatever you want. Okay?
Yeah.
Whatever you want, and I really mean that. Okay, whatever you want, and then you get, as long as you've got the right materials to put into the 3D printer, the device, then it will create that. Okay, you know, whether it is a chess piece or a hammer or a house. Okay, masses of houses being built around the world now with 3D printing. Whether it's a rocket to outer space, they're doing a lot of that now. And the new space station to replace the ISS is already being made on 3D printed.
Good.
Okay. So there's just nothing you can't do on a 3D printer. So it was a fascinating class to do my research.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, it's certainly, I mean, you know, I can envisage a scenario where, you know, you want to buy something and they just send you the file and print it out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you know that they've got a 3D printer on the International Space Station?
Have they?
Yes, they print their own spare parts. So they've got the right material, and so if something gets broken or needs to be replaced, they can print it.
Wow.
Yeah. What they do is, whatever the spare part is, NASA back on Earth designs it on their computers. Okay.
Yeah.
And then they send that computer design to them, and they then load it on their 3D printer.
It's incredible, isn't it? It really is incredible.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I think that's a good place to stop. Hey? What do you think?
Okay. Yes, you know, that's fine by me. It's fine.
You must go to bed now. Eh?
I will, I think. No, it's been a good discussion. Yeah, it's been nice to catch up.
It's great. When you're working such long hours, you really mustn't get up so early, man.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Okay then. Well, yeah, thanks for the chat, and I look forward to catching up next week. Yeah.
Okay. Cheers, man.
See you now. Bye now.